Hello there, Internet. Welcome to another episode of the Tag Zero Pathcast. First of all, I'd like to introduce my co-host for today. Please present yourself, co-host number one.
It's me, Tech Meth, as always.
Here's Bob. Oh, as we're always asked back. Oh, shit.
So, hey guys, here we are again. Today is a very different video, first of all. Today is going to be not a tier list.
Woo!
It's, something different. Variety?
Oh my goodness, we have range.
On God. But yeah, today we'll be making something weird. Today is game design. We'll be going over probably one of my personal favorite, like games and series, I guess, of all time. The Fire Emblem series. We've all played the series. We
Some
like it to
more
a
than
different degree,
others.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Before we start, let's state out our bias on Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Games you're playing.
What backgrounds do y'all have with Fire Emblem?
I've played most of the games. For me, but since I've played most of the games, I will state my top three. It's like Shadow of Valentia. This is no particular order, by the way. Shadow of Valentia, Genealogy of the Holy War, and then like Three Houses is like my top three.
In my case, basically, I don't know if you can count Fire Emblem Heroes, although it's a gacha. It straight up has all the games in variety, but
Nah, y'all
but I have my
too
own
dedicated
bias.
to heroes.
I know. This is sponsorship, by the way.
Nintendo,
free money,
don't,
free money.
don't sue.
Don't do us, please. No, but seriously, one of my biased games will be Three Houses, just because it's a game I finished, and yeah, that's really my bias.
And then there's me, Lapsin only playing Birthright and Three Houses.
Ripped. That people are gonna just say you have no taste in Fire Emblem.
And I
But at least
I know barely anything. I just know the characters look cool, and there's a bunch of lore.
Yeah, no. So Fire Emblem is one of the most decade-spanning JRPGs of all time, starting all the way back at, I think the original NES was Shadow Dragons. It's got its rough patches. I mean, basically saved by Fire Emblem Awakening, and probably its most successful game is Smash Bros. Is the thing that made it popular. But the thing that saved it from basically stopping to exist was Awakening from the 3DS. And then the most successful one is Three Houses, which is probably the biggest bias we've been talking here. We've all played Three Houses. Yeah. It's all in our favorites. Each of us has a different opinion on the routes, but we won't get into that.
yeah.
Edelgard,
especially from the true.
God. In a way, starting with controversial arguments in frame one. But anyways,
honestly, you gotta understand her. Like, honestly, if she told me to massacre an entire group of people because they called her I would do it because, man, she's been through so much, bro. She did nothing wrong.
Stop it, Claude Simp. Show your true self.
I am a Claude Simp. I'll simp for Claude any day of the week. Bro's the best. Anyway, we're getting political.
I'm a blue. Yeah, let's not get political, mister, over here. So let's start with what we're doing today. So today will be, I saw this really fun game, but that actually could turn into a lot of discussion and theorycraft in Reddit by Pukumuku. I think that's how you spell it. Anyways, user Pukumuku posted it in the Fire Emblem subreddit. Your very own Fire Emblem game. Choose something game where you're in charge of making your dream Fire Emblem game and seeing how it performs. So the entire idea of this, at least from how I see it, is you have limited resources and you have to make your ideal vision of the Fire Emblem series come to life. And I think it's a very interesting topic for discussion, seeing how I think we have a very different vision, all of us, on how a Fire Emblem game is designed.
Yeah.
So exactly. Like I think everything starts changing depending on what type of game we're talking about. Because, for example, if we said this for like Dark Souls, I'd probably go with radically different approach to this. Yeah. But since it's Fire Emblem, Exactly. So like the approach is definitely different. But since it's Fire Emblem, I think this is like a good starting point where like we've all played it and we all have our opinions towards it. So
Yeah.
thank you Pokemuko for making this game. And
Zero Chad.
this is the idea. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea behind it. I think we can go next slide.
The rules.
Yeah, the rules are
You start with 70 Fire Emblem points, which we have stored right here. Boom! Look at that beautiful thing.
That's
Microsoft
That's
Paint at its
basically our-
finest. You must spend the minimum amount of EP per game element. So you can't, for example, spend 0 EP on your game storyline. There will be an opportunity to spend leftover EP at the end.
yeah. I think I also like the fact that we have limited resources, much like in the Fire Emblem games, where you only have you have to optimize a lot on how you're gonna play, because ideally every single base in a game will be covered, and wow, perfect game, perfect everything, wow. But realistically, it's never like that, right? Like a game will have its bad parts. It might not be bad per se, but it will always have something that's better than the other. And I think that's where the definition of a masterpiece in a game comes out, which is something I also wanted to touch on in this video.
And as
where it's
aspiring
like,
game designers, this is like very important for us to learn.
yeah, so like a masterpiece doesn't come from the perfect game, at least not by my definition. A masterpiece comes from basically a game, or this applies to anything in general, really. It's something that even though it's not perfect, it has problems, its good characteristics shines through all the problems and allow it to be a good experience. So basically a masterpiece isn't a perfect game, which I like about, this whole game design bingo, I guess.
Although I think it's more basic to know, because making a game is more like making strategies. So, but for me, most important thing is bringing the message to the people who are playing the game and actually enjoy the franchise, to not dying.
Yeah.
I agree with that, actually. I see the point.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's my, you could say, strategy for making a game, I guess.
Yeah. No, I see your point. Yeah, no, I definitely see how you view it. I view it through the lens of my favorite game, Persona 3, where it's definitely far from a perfect game. But every time I play it,
The music.
yeah, I see more of the good parts rather than the flaws. I definitely focus on the flaws every now and again, but the good parts always bring me back there. So without further ado, let's start with, the actual, the bingo game.
Hell yeah. We start off with Element 1, the storyline. Tier 1. Your game will have a bare bones story. Some text boxes will precede and close out the story chapters. Very simple. Tier 2. Your game will have a story, but it won't make much sense. The story exists as a mechanism for characters to get from point A to point B. So don't think too hard about it. Tier 3. There is a serviceable, inoffensive plotline. Not many big twists. Risks are taken. It's cohesive from beginning to end. So it's like, it's fine. It works. A tier 4.
It's mid. It's mid.
Engaging. It's compelling. There are discussions around this game. There are 1-hour YouTube videos about it.
Real.
Tier
Real.
5. Your storyline breaks the limits of all previous Fire Emblem games. You have ascended.
You are the next Akira Toriyama.
On oh God. So I guess I'll start, since I was the guy who came up with the idea and I'm the host. So you're gonna have to deduct 20 from me, because I'm taking story 5 all the way. I'm going big or go home.
He
And the reason
no hesitation.
the reason I say I'd have the peak story is because I think Fire Emblem, the part I definitely enjoy the most, more than the strategy, more than like the support system, more than pretty much anything in the game, is seeing the characters and interacting with the world around them. And the story is what allows that to happen. So if I'm making a Fire Emblem game, I definitely think that the story is the main focus, since gameplay could be variable. It's definitely no Metal Gear, where it's like 11-hour cutscenes and then like 4 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think the story is where you're going to be focused for like maybe like 60, 50, maybe 40% of the game, depending on how much you value the story and where you place it. But, you know, it's in that range of 40 to 60. Like,
Okay.
a lot of the game will be the story. So I definitely think the story aspect of it should be the strongest highlight of it, since it's the thing that people will talk about most, apart from maybe like gameplay. I don't know what
Okay.
y'all views are on it.
Okay, so honestly, I kind of have to agree with you there. But like, personally for me, spending 20 straight off the bat for story, that feels a bit excessive to me personally. I think I would go with a tier 4 story. Like, it's well enough discussed. I don't need it to be the next Shakespeare, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, no,
need it
I can see that.
engaging enough, but I don't. I personally would want a game that has more substance than just a story, because if the story is the main thing, it kind of takes away from the game aspect, and then it's like, why not make a show or a movie? Personally, I do get where you're coming from, but honestly, I would
Tell
I
that
would
to
go
him.
tier 4 personally.
Tell that to Hideo Kojima making 12-hour movies with 4-hour games.
Nah, but Hideo Kojima is like crazy, for real.
Yeah, no, okay.
What about you, Patsy?
So what about you?
So about the storyline. For me, I would give it the tier 4. The reason I give it a tier 4 for the storytelling is because basically the game I would want to focus on is about how the world building affect the characters. More especially, it's more like valuing the ethic each character in them. Overall, not only that, so the people who are playing the game could also understand the characters and feel more for them. So basically, for that only reason, I want to give it a 4.
Yeah, no, I can see both points. I definitely think that this is a trend where I definitely think story in a Fire Emblem game is like central. I don't think lower than a 4 is fair. I think lower than a 4, you're just kind of like going the bad route of Fire Emblem games, you know?
Yeah.
I think you can cut.
Dying. So yeah.
I think you can cut corners in a lot of things in Fire Emblem games, but like the story for me is like the central aspect, and it being at least like a 4 is minimum, at least for me.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I agree. I agree with that. This is like,
See, this is
Fire Emblems at times have like a those literature games, like light novel game.
visual novels.
Visual novels. It feels half a visual novel, honestly.
I mean, it is. The story type is a visual novel story type with the character boxes. Obviously, it's a much more, how can I explain this?
50%
Bite-sized?
chess, 50% visual novel.
Yeah, like it's much more bite-sized compared to a visual novel, but definitely the elements of a visual novel are present.
And prevalently so.
Yeah, and this is what I mean about game design varying game per game, because if we were designing a Call of Duty game, I would probably choose like a 2 story, even if like games like Modern Warfare 2 and 3 have like pretty serviceable stories. They're like 3, maybe a 4 for me. The games are the games are not known for their story a lot of the time, you know. A lot of time it's just shoot good mechanics. I would definitely spend more points in other things, but since it's Fire Emblem, I think, oh, this game makes me feel because of the story. So
Yeah. Alright, so we going into
moving
2?
on.
Gameplay.
Yeah.
This one's gonna be interesting.
Now This one's gonna be interesting because I went all in on last round, so I'm down a very hefty chunk. I'm down like
Yeah.
a lot.
You have 50 points
And
left.
yeah, and that sounds like still like I have a lot of choices, but that means in one more 20 choice, I have 30 points,
Yeah.
which is
that
not a
actually
lot.
wild. This is harder than it seems. Alright, let me read
So,
these real quick.
go on.
Tier 1. The gameplay of the project is flawed on a fundamental level. The actual tactical portion of the game is seen as more of a break between story segments than as part of the game proper. Which is wild. Tier 2.
Damn, that's trash,
the
though.
gameplay exists, but it's often obtuse. Key information is hidden from players, making first playthroughs hard to get through without a guide of some sort. So basically, Xenoblade X. Tier
Dumb.
3.
What?
There is serviceable gameplay, but a player that knows what they're doing can break the game balance with little effort. Most of the game audience will enjoy the gameplay, while tactics veterans will feel hella unsatisfied. Tier 4. The gameplay is finely tuned, ripe for ample discussion on tactics alone. Tactical maps feel fun to play and satisfying to beat. And Tier 5. The tactical gameplay becomes the best in franchise history, and your game becomes the gold standard for all RPGs on a purely tactical level.
Okay, this is very tough because ideally I would pick 5 or 4 because a majority of the game is gameplay. Let's be honest. Like, story and gameplay take up the majority of the game. Everything else is either idle grinding because you can't get enough levels, macro and micro optimizing your characters and such, which to veterans, that is important. And I agree because I definitely enjoyed optimizing all my characters in Three Houses, being funny with what Marita could do in Tharsia. Like, I definitely enjoy that aspect.
Dumb.
But I'm thinking, I definitely... Ooh, this is tough. I'll go with a 4 here, and that's high because that leaves me with 48 points. Wait.
No,
You do the math.
leaves you with 38.
No, 38 points, which is even worse.
38 is wild. And you want to know the crazy thing?
Oh,
I think
Yeah.
I'm going to end up with
Go
38
on.
too, because I'm planning on going tier 5 in this thing.
wow. Even more, like, we're going on similar routes, simply prioritizing. This is what I mean. I chose the 60-40 route, where I'm like, 60% story and 40% gameplay. You're going the 60% gameplay and 40% story.
Yeah? Now what about... Because honestly, like, gameplay is, for me, the most important thing. If your game is not fun to play, why is it a game?
True.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but then again, there's the masochists that play the same game like FIFA over and over. Even if it's fun and mindless, like, it's still the same damn game over and over. Like, you know, there's no real evolution from the game.
Yeah.
So, like, how about you, Patty? How much do you go on this?
Well, it'll be a little bit disappointing, but it'll be a tier 3 gameplay.
Tier 3.
The-
Okay.
Yeah. The reason is just because I want to be just casually enjoyable. It's not like even be, oh wow, it's gonna do this 6 things. But honestly, although it has to, for me, it doesn't have to be too much emphasized on that in that matter.
You know what? I see that
Yeah.
because, okay, like I'm thinking back on other Fire Emblem games. Thracia, for example, isn't considered a very good Fire Emblem game. It has its tad bits of, ooh, this game could be very good. But the thing I could compare this most is to Sacred Stones, which is considered one of the best Fire Emblem games. It's one of my favorites. And Sacred Stones, I would say in Asoria, it's a 4. I wouldn't say it's a 5. I think they're like 5 is reserved for other games, but it's like a very solid 4. And then like a gameplay, it's very, I think it's like a 3. You know, like I like the gameplay, but I think it's like a 3. So I can see the 3. And I can see why you would choose the 3, which is interesting.
The 3 is actually a really good pick, honestly.
Yeah, it's actually really point effective too, because 9 points. It's a big difference. This is the thing of when you're working with quote unquote small numbers that people don't see. 9 to 12 is a 3-point difference. We're talking about, I think it's like 1/4 of a difference.
Yeah.
That's a lot, realistically.
No, yeah.
It depends on the what you're emphasizing, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So I can definitely see that. Let's go 3. Element 3.
Element 3 on its way. Here we go. Go. Adventure. Element 3, the support system. Now, I actually need to read this because I don't know what support means. Tier 1. There is no support system to speak of. Characters live and die by things such as their maps, quotes, or main story presence. Supports Tier 2. A support system is present, but extremely limited. Characters can only get up to 5 support conversations total. Tier 3. There are plenty of support conversations to go around, but there are other flaws. Characters may act differently in supports than they do in the main story. So, like, Fates, I imagine. Tier 4. The plentiful supports are, for the most part, well written. Some supports are plot locked, allowing them to comment on the ongoings of the main story. And Tier 5. Every support is well written, feeling true to the characters, and allowed to reflect the main story developments of the game.
So support systems are basically what you see in Fire Emblem 3 houses, where characters talk in their own separate spaces and have conversations and stuff.
Yeah, the slice of life part.
Yeah, or not necessarily. I mean, yes and no. It depends on how they write it. But this is hard because I'm gonna be honest. Not having a support system isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
This is I consider one of those cases where the bad option could be even better than the best option if you know how to, play your cards properly. Okay. But I do think the inclusion of a support system is important to the game. I think I'll let you go first while I think about this.
Okay, so personally, I'm thinking about doing a tier 3, because like even if the supports differ from the characters in the story, like you can still interpret it as just seeing more to the character, and like I still feel like even though there is that disconnect, the support system already feels a bit disconnected to me sometimes, so it's honestly fine to just see a different side of the characters. I'm not explaining myself too well. I'm just yapping. But the point is, I'm going tier 3. What about you, Pathy?
So me, I was considering doing the tier 5, but I have this idea so basically I'm gonna do tier 4, and the reason is because imagine you're having the support, but depending on your action you take on that support, it's gonna change the story.
Oh,
like
Kaze in Birthright.
Yeah, I can see that.
But overall, for me, I already stated that the one of the most important when you're making a game is making the character. So when I want to make them so be appealing, so to the point, you have to understand them. But trying to make them overall like the perfect character to be like you're so fan of is not gonna make it the best game. You know what I mean by that point.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, okay, I've thought about it, and I might be insane here, but I'm actually going tier 1, and I'll go with the reason why. Damn. Not having a support system, it honestly is better than having a bad one, in my opinion. I think having no support at all is better because I'll put it like this. Not having a support system allows you to write the story, and I'll put it like this. Since I chose tier 5 story, the story's already, basically perfect, I guess you would say. So ideally,
That's a
the
good
characters would be well written and interact in such a way that no support story is needed because the characters will already feel, you know, like a real group, and characters will have conversations normally. And ideally, this would give the writers more liberty to not have to do open endings and take the risk of maybe going slightly more linear endings that give a less broader satisfactions for people that might be looking for the slice of life, not lice, aspect of Fire Emblem, but will give a much bigger payoff for people that enjoy that aspect of Fire
I
Emblem,
want
a big overarching story with no disconnect between the characters.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to talk about is basically the character development. By the time has the group are literally fighting for a same cause, basically the bonds get strength, like awakening.
Yeah, no. So I definitely feel like picking the cheap option could be beneficial for me this time because I see it as a plus rather than a negative.
No, yeah, you're definitely
And
right. It's way cheaper,
Right.
and it's not really necessary. Though I would say that a Fire Emblem game without support would feel kind of empty, in my opinion.
no, I can see that because if you go three houses, you can't do, for example, the three houses route because instantly you feel like characters only live together. Meanwhile, and you feel like there's no friend groups and whatever. But I feel like if the story is written well enough, it's one of those things where I think I could kind of gloss over. This was an interesting one. I think this was by far the most interesting one so
Honestly,
far.
yeah, agreed. Now
We
we're
all
going
need
to
that support.
Element 4. The world/lore. Oh my goodness, I'm a sucker for lore, but
This is hard
Tier
because
1. The setting of the game is a generic fantasy. There's nothing setting it apart from other fantasy games. Tier 2. The
Rip.
setting of the game has some interesting quirks. Lore fanatics will find some stuff to dig their teeth into, but it's mostly superficial. Tier 3. There's something going on in the setting that sets it apart from most other fantasy settings, be it a hard magic system or a unique part of the world. The game is immediately recognizable from other Fire Emblem games. Tier 4. The setting of the game is commendable. Lore fanatics will find plenty to dig into, and people will find the setting magnetic, should the game flounder in other areas. People will still be attached to the setting and label the game as missing its full potential. Tier 5. The setting of the world is so ripe for more exploration that it would feel like a missed opportunity for the next mainline Fire Emblem game to not take place in the same world.
Wow. Okay. This is hard. Okay.
I'm such a sucker
because
for
the
lore, but I'm gonna have to
Okay.
lowball this.
Okay. Let me put it like this. I don't think Fire Emblem has some interesting lore, and I enjoy the world building for what it is. But I definitely think it isn't what it's mostly recognized about. But this is the part of me that says, so what? Make it so it's recognized because of that. Add another layer of why people will fall in love with this game more and more. And I want to pick 5 so hard because the idea of a game basically it's like every time I think of Bloodborne, this is what comes to my mind when I think of Bloodborne. I'm just like, how is there not a Bloodborne 2? This game needs a second part. And that toxic side of me just comes, I'm like, oh god, please. But I have to pick 4. I would cut. Yes. And it's still a hefty cost. But it allows me to put into other areas that I still think are important to make the game a complete package.
Okay. You.
I understand that point because it's basically one of the most important parts of a fantasy world, basically.
Oh, 100%. Every time I think of Moshuko no Tensei, I think of world building.
You have to see the scenery. But the most important part is because it's something you have to discover. It's like a new world to explore. But yeah, I will sacrifice this one, sadly. And I'm gonna put it on a tier 3 world.
Tier 3.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
honestly, I want to the characters appeal to more of the environment they are, to the actual, because they cannot control the things that happen during the storyline. So they have to, we could say, have their own character development throughout this environment, and how they get together without being out of place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see it, gang. I see it.
Yeah,
I
I can
see
see
it.
it. Okay.
Overall, that's my opinion about you, Tech.
Well, for me, I'm gonna have to give it a tier 2, unfortunately. I would love
Wow.
I would love to do something crazy,
Oh,
but like, first of all, I'm running low on points, right? And I gotta be analytical. And the lore and setting, well, let's be real. At the end of the day, you can have the best setting in the world, but if the story is ass, then the setting is underutilized. But if you have a mediocre
okay, but you have
setting, if you have a mediocre
idea, but
setting with a great story happening in there, then the people will just focus on the story more than they do the setting. The setting is just a place where it's happening. You're focusing on the story. And remember that I already went with it, that since we already picked really good stories, I don't think that I need the setting that much. But I'm not going
Okay,
tier
I
1
can-
because, like, bare bones, just a generic fantasy is, like, kind of boring. And, like,
yeah,
no
no,
one
I
would buy
can.
the game.
I see what you mean, but this is probably the first time I have to disagree. Like, everyone has their own opinion, but like, I feel like having the chance to have a story, like such a concrete story. Like, of course, this is all theorycraft. We're not still writing in a process or something like that. But having such a concrete story, and then having a concrete setting, and then add gameplay on top of that. Obviously, we're still not including the full scope of the game, but we have the 3 elements that basically make up a game that are solid foundations to it.
Well,
Like-
typically all, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but like, it's like, ideally, of course, like I said, 5 is like, holy bro, like
I would
5.
love that.
I heard 5 and I wanted to gush. I was like, holy, I want to pick 5. I'm gonna pick 5 impulsively, but ideally, I couldn't.
Yeah.
So no, I see what you mean, but I disagree over the fact that, like, I think picking better in this case could result in a much more compelling game, I guess. But I see what you mean, even if I don't agree
That's
with
fair,
it.
that's fair. Now then, shall we move
Alright.
on to the 5th one?
Yeah, 5th.
The art style. Tier 1.
Oh,
The artwork
is
in the game is unremarkable at best. It's mostly just sprites and a lot of reused portraits. Tier 2. The artwork in the game is divisive at best. Tier 3. The artwork in the game is serviceable, if not perfect. Tier 4. The artwork in the game is beautifully, perfectly reflecting in the themes and tone of the game. Tier 5. The artwork in the game goes a step beyond Tier 4, being an art style that's perfectly tailored towards your tastes in particular.
all right.
I'm gonna say
So
it,
this
I've had
is
this locked on. I've had this locked
I
on
want
since
to make
we
a-
first saw this.
Actually,
Tier 2.
I want to say something. I want to make a truce. Why we all not agree to make it tier 4?
You know the worst part? I can't. I can't.
We
in
broke.
the right. Okay, because okay, let me put it. How many points do I have left?
23.
All right, give me a sec. I'm doing math.
Bro
Damn.
pulling up the calculator
Hold
for
on.
basic math.
Yeah, sadly.
Okay.
Okay, art is probably the more casual aspect of it, but it's the one that leaves a lasting impression in the sense that, like, I don't think I would enjoy Valentia or Three Houses if I didn't think Alm had like one of my favorite character designs in any fantasy anime of all time, like not anime, but game of all time. Three Houses, where I look at pretty much any character, I'm just like, I love this guy, or this chick is amazing. And it's not because of the story alone. The visual design tells so much about the character that people don't understand. And it's a thing that people will see. People don't see the story when they open the case. They see the art. They see the characters. They might see some of the gameplay, but if the gameplay is good and the art is ass, a lot of the time a player won't pick up the game. Because art tells a lot about the game. And while I wish I could pick a 4 or a 5, where I could say, yeah, I have like Cubon for the entire arts of the game, or I have Murata Sensei making the art for my game. He came back from the grave just to make this game. I would. But this is a 3 gang. Because art is good, but if it's enough to convey what I want, that's fine by me. Even if it isn't Berserk, even if it isn't Vagabond, even if it isn't Three Houses.
Well, personally, for me, enough would be tier 2, which might be wild to you, but that's what I'm locking in. I've had it locked in since before we started this, and I'm keeping it there. I'm stubborn like that.
Wow, tier 2 is wild. I just think that's wild.
They're just surviving this straight up.
It's just that.
So,
it's kind of risky to go more than that, I feel.
Very risky. So, about my personal art preference, I would say tier 4. Because
yeah, I can see that.
A part of the how we make the character, I wanted to be more explicitly, like, for example, throughout the game, you see how the character, their personality changes. Also, their, let's say, equipment. When you have enough battle scars and their armor is ruined.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
And basically, your personality is reflected in that art, and that's what I like when playing a game, because you see how it's affected during the game.
It's immersive, and that's something I have to 100% agree with, because like, if I could, I would. If I could, I would, because like, some of my favorite games of all time are cinematic masterpieces, like Final Fantasy, or is the Trial series really that well? I mean, I guess I can say Trial.
Rising Revengeance, revenge with a vengeance.
Okay, but I think that's more so the cinematic aspect of it. I think it's more like the movie aspect of it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the art style of the Metal Gear games are just very iconic. I'm trying to think of like one of my maybe like favorite anime games, I guess, because I'm trying to like think of something that I can just say like people can visualize what I mean of art style carries a game really hard sometimes.
A bunch of indie games.
Yeah, true. I mean, but like I was gonna say Hades, but Hades has great gameplay too.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, isn't there an indie game called Journey or something like that? That's literally just a walking simulator that's hard carried by art style.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what game you're talking about, but there's a lot of walking simulators carried by art, which is completely understandable to a certain degree.
I want to make an example for one can be carried through art. From one of the Fire Emblem franchise, it basically is Fire Emblem Echoes from the 3DS. Because basically you see in the gameplay how the 3D modeling, I say, but and the two art sprite is good.
Okay, if I'm going, okay, the thing is, Echoes has divisive gameplay. Some people don't like it. Some people really like it. I'm on the really like it aspect. But I have to say, I think pretty much everyone agrees that apart from the 3D renders, because, well, the renders on the 3DS weren't that great.
True.
Aside from the 3D renders, I'm pretty sure almost everyone agrees Echoes has a great art style. Like, bro, there's a reason is like my, like, bro, he's literally the character I chose to be on the thumbnail.
He's literally you.
True.
But yeah, this one's interesting because I actually see the dicey art style as being hit or miss, because as a good option, because
Yeah.
really, if your story is good enough, the art kind of like glosses over. Obviously, when you go to the perfection, like Berserk, well, then we're talking about a whole other level.
Yeah.
But
we
yeah,
know
Honestly, I
at this
would
late
like
work.
to have more art, but I really want to be on a budget here for the bonus section.
yeah, no, I get it. Let's go to next round. What's the next
The next and
element?
final element, penultimate page,
Oh no.
is going to be the technical. Tier 1.
Yeah,
Textures and models are rendered in your game seem unprofessional or otherwise off. In addition to subpar graphics, the performance of your game lags at a console regularly, and crashes are a regular occurrence. Scarlet and Violet and Sonic Boom are wild, but fair. Tier 2. Your game has alright graphics and performance, but some oddities make it clear that there could have been some more time in the oven. Tier 3. The graphics and performance of your game are relatively fine. Some shortcuts are taken here and there, glitches pop up here and there, but nothing unacceptable. Tier 4. Graphics of your game create a visual feast for the eyes. Performance is also commendable. Tier 5. The tech of your entry breaks the limits of what was thought possible on Nintendo hardware, though some black magic tech wizardry. So, Xenoblade X.
yeah. The Witcher 3, LOZ, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
Honestly, those are agreeable.
The reason I was saving points was because of this. Renders are important to me, but the actual thing that I was thinking with the technical aspect was actually things like the menus. And the reason I say menus is
UI.
because, goddamn, if Persona didn't have one of the best UIs of all time, would it not be like one of the best games, right, that I would love?
That is.
When I think of technical, I think of the UI. And the UI, you're going to be looking at it during the gameplay. And if the UI isn't pretty or easy to follow or like allows you to do everything in a like collected, streamlined, yet in-depth way, the game starts breaking apart very easily, especially when talking about a JRPG.
Yeah.
So I will go for tier 4.
Whew.
Not 5 because I
You
will
don't
go for
have the
tier
cash for
4.
5.
No, I don't have the cash for 5, but I was saving because I knew that tier 4 would pay off right here.
Damn.
Nice.
That's actually crazy. Okay. So, honestly, that's quite agreeable. For me, as someone who's studying programming, it really does hurt my heart to say this, but I'm going tier 3.
Wow, I thought you would agree with me on tier 4.
No, I completely agree with you. But I have like a budget mentality on my mind right now. You know? Because like I
Get it.
I want to be able to afford some of the bonus content. Because I saw some of it and it was like, some of this is like pretty good actually, and I want to save up for it.
Yeah.
And tier 3, I feel like it's the minimum I can get away with, because any lower than 3 is just gonna be a horrible user experience. And user experience is one of the most important things. And like, at least tier 3, like, it has glitches, but it said nothing unacceptable. So like, it's minor things, like, you know, a slight clipping here, So, random stuff. And to me,
Hmm.
that's acceptable. And honestly, sometimes glitches, if they're like harmless enough, they can end up being kind of fun for some people, even if they're unintentional by design. So that's why I'm choosing
Yeah,
tier 3.
yeah, no, I see that. I actually see that. The reason I chose 4 is because I always think of menuing, and for me, menuing is like,
No,
okay,
you're
wait.
you're
Actually,
completely
is
reasonable.
menuing counted in this or in the gameplay section? Sorry to
I
ask
would
now,
consider
but
menuing
is
more of a technical thing.
right because that's what I thought. Like for me, menuing is like technical. It's like a technical aspect of the game.
Wait,
Yeah.
but it's actually not important.
For me, yes. And remember, this also includes like 3D renders. This includes part of the graphics, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the art style is unaffected by it, but it helps solidify one consistent and clear unity.
Okay.
So I
What
agree
about
with
you,
that.
Path?
Now, I agree for all the reasons you just mentioned, but I don't have the budget.
You have 16
And I
points in the
also
bank.
want
You have
something
16.
else.
You can go tier 4 if you want.
I know, but I want at least something from the bonus. So I'm gonna choose tier 2.
Tier 2 is
Wow!
crazy.
Whoa, hold up!
I'm gonna
That was
disagree with you hard there. Tier 2
that
feels
was
like it
like.
would just be unplayable. Like a top tier game that's just unplayable.
Hey,
But
hey,
hey,
hey! If we get more
one,
budget, we get patches. Hold up! If we get more budget, we get patches, gang.
I want to
True.
just mention, well, making the game one of the most important thing while creating is having time. Because if you wanted to make it right out of bat in just like 3 months, it doesn't gonna work. Also,
Yeah.
if you're trying to make a slow pacing from the story, you cannot make it so fast because you're gonna have some, holes on the story.
Yeah, no, I
So
get
yeah,
that.
this hurt me a lot, but I want just the bonus. Uh,
Bro's gonna have points for the bonus. Trust. I'm the one that's mostly cooked, but I don't
Yeah.
like you're gonna wait till y'all hear what I have to say about the bonuses.
Okay.
Go like I think.
So here are the rankings right now. Zero, you have 2 emblem points.
yeah.
I have 8 emblem points. And Path, you have 10 whole emblem points. Now then, let's see what we
Wrong.
can use these bonus points for in the bonus round. Now then,
Probably the most interesting section of this game. I think bonus round has a lot of unique stuff that, depending on the Fire Emblem player, could entice you to just spend a lot of your points here,
yeah.
or you could entirely ignore this round.
Now then,
Yeah, you can read them.
let's read this. You can get for 1 EP an avatar with customizable gender. If you pay 6 EP, you can get paired endings for the avatar or main lord if there is no avatar. You can pay 3 EP to remove all gender locks on your avatar or main lord pairings. For 5
Yeah.
EP, you can add online. And for the same
Insane,
price,
by the way. This
you
is
can add
I
DLC.
can't.
I'm gonna be real. If any of y'all, Pathu, if you pick DLC, you're unfriended. Games should not be designed with DLC in mind.
Okay, yes, but think of it like think of it like Elden Ring DLC. One
Okay.
year later, and we get peak DLC gaming.
Okay, that's actually acceptable. Anyway, next up, for 2 whole EP, you can get a customizable avatar. For 4
Yeah, this is an
EP,
upgrade, by the way. This is
Yeah.
an upgrade. So in total, you would be having to pay 3 EP for this.
oh, these are upgrades?
Yeah, you can't pay.
Okay.
You
I get
have
this.
to pay. Yeah.
Okay, so for 4 EP extra, if you get the paired ending, you can get paired endings for all characters. For
I
the
wouldn't
bonus
even if I
EP
had the points for.
Wait.
Even if I had the points for it, I wouldn't be able to pick that one because it has a restriction that I'd have to need tier 2 or higher support. I have tier
Yeah.
1.
Right. Okay. So, if you choose romance, you can upgrade it for 2 EP to remove all gender locks on all characters on the game. All the colors of the rainbow are free to fly down under this game.
But you need paired ending, so you have to to get this. You need 15 emblem points.
Yeah, no, this is actually crazy. I don't think. No, you don't need 15. You need 11. Because you don't need.
No,
the
you
upgrade.
need 15.
You don't need the upgrade.
Oh, you don't need the upgrade? Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Because if you needed the upgrade, that's crazy. That's
if you
like
pick
actually
online
insane.
and upgraded with 2 EP, you get relay trials from Engage, plus castle raids and PvP.
That for me is like probably one of the most enticing things in this bonus list. People don't get how much replay value online adds to a game. This is like peak game right here. If you add online and have like so many good aspects of the game, you get like peak gaming all of a sudden.
Okay, and finishing things out, if you choose DLC and pay 5 EP to upgrade it, you get an extra mini campaign.
Holy bro.
It's expensive, but oh my goodness. It is
This is
good.
10 EP.
Yeah.
It's 10 EP.
Off the bat.
But it's
so
literally an extension to the game. You're literally adding an entire section that wouldn't have been possible before to your game with extra development time. And obviously, you're still. Since this is a closed environment, we're still gonna stick with the things we chose in the sense that, like, how can I explain this? The DLC would have all the attributes of the base game. Because this is a closed system, this doesn't have any extra influence over it. But in a real world setting, this means you get extra time to think about what you're preparing for the DLC, more time to develop, more time to add stuff, listen to player development teams, like see what they like. This is insane and like absolutely bonkers.
A moment. Now I have a question. How many
You can afford it.
terabytes talking about here?
The game space is dying.
Just 80.
Yeah, just 80 terabytes. Don't worry, we're Call of Duty. We'll retain 300 of your precious gigabytes from our singular game.
No, but
But
honestly, for me, listen. For me, this is very easy, very simple. I have 8 points, and I am gonna use them on online and the avatar and its upgrade. Why the online?
Wow.
Because online is like so versatile, right? You can do so many things with an online, right? You add interactivity with other players, and that alone increases the replayability of the game by a mile.
Oh my god, I agree with you so much on this one.
Even if the game is bad, it's fun to play it with friends, even if it's bad. You know what I mean?
I agree with you on so many levels, because not only that, but for the competitive players, if you chose high-end gameplay like you did, we're talking about you're going to be optimizing.
Dude,
you're
Dark
going
Souls
to
level.
be. Yeah, it's gonna be like optimization. No, and this goes even further because we're talking about a tactics game,
Exactly.
which adds how many characters, which characters are you bringing, what build they have. We're talking about like a whole community separated from the main game that will start optimizing for this singular thing.
And then,
which is just it's.
And then like Avatar, because like it's the only thing I can afford, and like romance is cool and all, but like getting to do gay pairings with the main characters, it's like it's fine, but I mean, so I do wish that I as male Byleth could have gotten into a relationship with Claude, but I mean, you can just re-roll for a different gender character next time. It's not the biggest loss in the world, and honestly, having a customizable avatar is like it makes the experience more personal to you. So that's why I gotta say that.
Let me go. Hold up. I'll go next, and I'll do something insane that y'all probably didn't think about.
Bro, with his
I
skill
won't
points, that'd change
spend
the
on
world.
the avatar. That's the only thing I have available, but I'll actually save my points on the turnaround point and see what I can upgrade. And I'll explain why. Avatars add personality in the sense that you get to choose what gender you are and maybe some aspects of you. Because when I think of a customizable avatar, at least, sadly I wouldn't be able to get it, but like I think of like hair design, scars, suits you can wear, all that shit, which is very cool.
Some things you can
But-
played X.
But I don't necessarily think choosing your gender or maybe customizing to that depth is necessary if you have the story right. See, I think of it like I think of genealogy, where my protagonist is Sigurd,
Okay.
and I don't see any other character replacing that. So I'm like, I can have that. I can have the main character be this great and just be its own character that the player simply views the experience through instead of the player feeling like the character themselves.
That's honestly a very
Nice.
valid point. I still prefer my customizable avatars because with online, not having customizable avatars is gonna be actually crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think online with customizable avatars goes insane because like you get to build your avatar how you want, the way you want it, pairing support, and since you have a pairing support system, unlike me, you get different builds depending on the pairings. I can imagine like a lot is added in the macro of it. But I think we should leave it over to the guy who has the most interesting part in this section, which is Pathkeeper, who actually has
10
the
whole
ability
points.
to spend. Bro, this is insane in bonus round.
So you're not wasting any money, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm keeping my 2 points, and
That's fair.
I think I should be able to upgrade. I think I should be able to upgrade something.
That's valid. That's valid.
So, surprisingly, how it sounds, I'm only gonna spend 5.
Whoa.
Whoa! I thought we were going for the gambit here. Whoa!
No.
Okay, let's hear him out. Let's hear
And
him
you
out.
know what I'm gonna spend it
What?
on online.
Online. Okay.
Okay.
Why specifically online only? Because I wanted to make it part of the game. So how people interact with each other, like basically sending more like personal results. I don't know how to explain this, but I want to make it a bunch of so the players who can also interact with each other and also help you to make your grinding better.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, no, I love that option. But I have to ask, you have the points. Why not either upgrade or go for DLC here?
Yeah.
Like, go for both online and DLC, bro?
Like, I mean, but the base DLC option is kind of weak in my opinion.
I think
Like, if you read
I
what
could
the
put it,
description
though.
says, it just says an expansion
wait,
pack with
I could-
special items, outfits, and a few characters, which, like,
actually, I see DLC with upgrade, bro. DLC with upgrade looks crazy.
DLC with upgrade is crazy, but DLC alone is fine.
Sorry, not DLC with upgrade. Online with upgrade goes crazy, actually.
Yeah, honestly, I completely
But-
agree.
But you know what? I'm gonna make a poll. Online and DLC or DLC with upgrade, because basically what I have in mind is because we can make it a lower part, because since my Fire Emblem game is more basic, it's more understanding the different point of view of the characters. Making it an online deal, it will be like for me unnecessary, but Also, in terms of gameplay, could be better. But if I'm gonna add it from a DLC, basically, I want to make amends for the plot holes they could be, because it's gonna be a mystery how gonna games come up unfold with the story. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
No, I get it.
Oh, yeah.
So which one do you pick? DLC with upgrade or online with upgrade and something else?
You know what? Frickin', I'm gonna choose DLC with the upgrade.
DLC
Because
with
I want
upgrade.
to I want to cook with the story. If the game was really bad, I want to amend it with the DLC.
I mean, your game is already pretty good, so it sounds like a solid DLC. It just sounds like a very solid DLC, actually.
Make
He
it, for
might actually
example,
beat us here.
is like making a game and then living with all those unanswered questions about how people act that way. Or centric characters you want to be developed more, even better, I want to say.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So I think this was a very interesting section. I think this was by far
No, yeah.
what.
See, this is
Okay,
what we get for budgeting.
I don't know. Yeah, no, budgeting. The budgeting goes hard in this, but I think I don't regret any of my choices of spending high early, simply because I feel like the game is so solid on its own that I won't have to like add much apart from like obviously a few amenities from here are very cool and I would love to get them, but I'm satisfied with the base game enough to be like I think
Yeah.
where I'm at is fine. But I want to check what could I upgrade apart from the support system.
Nothing.
Nothing.
20. Jesus, yeah, I don't think I can
Bro.
upgrade anything up.
By the way, I want to mention, I will play both of your games if the designs are good.
Alright,
Go crazy.
let's try to finish this now. So, in the next episode, we will perform these performance
We're-
trials, right?
Yes.
Honestly, I'm thinking that we can like link a forms for some of our viewers to like contribute to their opinions, and then we do this with their opinions.
It's really important.
I think it depends. Okay. I think reading the comments from our side is enough because we don't have much viewership. But I think we should just guys just leave a comment on what your opinion was and how would you make this game. Like if you were in our position, what would you say your ideal vision for the game is? We all have a very different perception of what a game is, on how to play it and how to make it. So I think this could be a very varied topic. And I would love to hear your guys, like experience and what you have to say about it. And, leave a comment. Paku, let me get you the name of the Muku. Thank you again for making this. And go
Thanks for
to
watching.
the Fire Emblem subreddit. Go to the Fire Emblem subreddit and leave him an upvote and leave your
Yep.
opinions down there too. Because I'm probably going to sit down and read some opinions down there. So I hope to see you all there. And let's all say it together, guys.
Yeah, wait. Also, editor, please bring down real quick a schematic of what we ended up picking for the viewers at home. Thank you very much. Now then, we can say it.
I wonder who the editor is. Thank you for watching, guys. Say it with me.
Like and subscribe.
Thank you for watching.